some more questions. Mr. White, in the rating system that Sega has, beyond the MA-17, MA-13, and the rest, you have a category non-approval.
Yes, sir.
So that that's indication on the guidelines themselves that Sega has established that you profess an intention to exercise some self-control here. And I read from the latest version of the guidelines, which is December 2nd of 1993. As always, Sega will not approve products which contain A1, material that encourages criminality of any kind. Isn't making a game and selling it that encourages a kid to point a gun at a television set and rewards his success or her success by increasing the firepower of the gun, encouraging criminality? I mean, we're all aware of this incredible outbreak of gun violence in our country. Is it responsible? Let me put it another way. Is it within the terms of the guidelines that you've established to make a game that puts this in the hand of a child and rewards his skill at shooting at the television screen? And the characters in it, including, as Senator Cole said, innocent bystanders who, when hit, are pumped back and bleed.
Senator, we rely on the Independent Rating Council to help us make those decisions because we at corporate are not psychologists, we're not sociologists, we do not understand the detail of that research that was discussed at the first panel. We rely on experts to help make those decisions. And they have rated that product MA-17, only appropriate for adults. I may also point out that Sega produces product for a rapid-fire machine gun that uses the same technology, to our understanding, with several games available, and they have no rating on that product to suggest that product's for adults.
Nintendo produces that, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a similar device. It's a bazooka rather than a handgun.
And what is the game is that for a video game? Mr. Lincoln, do you want to?
This is a thing that comes with the, or can be purchased with the Super NES. It obviously doesn't quite look like what you've got in your hands. It's called the Super Scope. The gun that you have in your hand is called the Justifier. I think that this game is a target this device is for target shooting and whatnot. You know, I guess I'd rest my case with the fact that we're not putting the name Justifier on it. And the game that you're speaking of, Lethal Enforcer, let me tell you that that game was initially rejected by Nintendo. We told the licensee that we would not allow that game on the market.
Right.
We told him that he would told it that they would have to take off the word Justifier, and we made a number of substantial changes to it. And we also told him we wouldn't approve this kind of packaging. The end result is that that product is not yet out on the Nintendo platform.
I hope before it goes out on the market, you'll think again about it, because it's more than the name Justifier on this. This is a handgun, pure and simple. And no matter what the name is on it, putting it in the hands of a kid just gives them the wrong idea. As I must say, to me that looks like a weapon, and not like a high-tech implement of any kind. It looks like an assault weapon of some kind. Let me go to another part of this problem, and that is the chain of distribution, the chain of advertising. Because if you establish a rating system, it's got to be carried out throughout the chain. As you indicated earlier, I went into, one of my staff members this morning went into a Toys R Us on the way to work, and Night Trap is right there alongside the other video games that the kids can buy. I want to show you two examples that deal with advertising. The first is this Toys R Us circular, and if you can see it, I think you'll see, Mr. White, in that case, that the ratings on Mortal Kombat are not visible. They've been covered over. Now, I know that's not your ad. You don't own Toys R Us, but I'm just trying to make the point of how important it is, if you're really going to rely on your rating system, yes, to follow that through the chain. Second, we've got this ad for Lethal Enforcer that Senator Cole has pointed to before, and the rating, which is on your package, is effectively It's not visible. The carton is raised in such a way that it's covered it up. And of course, apart from that, and you'd have to look for it, I mean, one other exercise of responsibility here would have been simply to have had a mark somewhere else there saying, this is MA-17, this shouldn't be bought or used by anyone under the age of 17. So my question is this. Pursuant to your commitment to have a rating system, would you commit now to do everything in your power to ensure that the ratings are not only visible on your product, but visible in advertising for your product, especially advertising, of course, which you procure directly? Mr. White and Mr.
Yes,
Lincoln.
Chairman Lieberman, I refer to my written testimony that we are, in fact, suggesting that consistency as to the presentation of ratings and product packaging, advertising, and promotional materials, and I'll go beyond that and suggest that it should be prominent, and you have our commitment. I don't believe that that same commitment has been made by Nintendo. It is in our testimony.
Mr. Lincoln.
Well, I don't know what he's talking about there. As you well know, we have made a commitment to the rating system. The point that I've been making all along, and the point that I made to both of you this morning individually, was that we are concerned that a rating system by itself might just be an open season on more violent games. The commitment that I'll make to you is that we will, while we will participate in formulating a rating system, we'll be the first ones back here if what we see is nothing more than just business as usual. If we're going to have a rating system, let's put some meat in it. Let's figure out a way to get the retailers to enforce it. Let's figure out a way that, that the consumer can clearly understand the content of these games, and we'll certainly make that commitment. I've made that to you prior to the hearing in my statement, and I'll repeat it now.
Thank you. Ms. Rosenthal, on behalf of the Software Publishers Association, am I correct that Konami would be a member of the association?
Excuse me, Your Honor. I'm sorry, Mr. Senator.
It's okay.
I do not believe that company is a member.
Would you consider it a software publisher, whether it's a member or not?
I'm truthfully not familiar
okay,
with that
but let me,
company.
notwithstanding that, let me just get to ask you whether, on behalf of your association, you would commit here as part of the implementation of a rating system to do everything within your power to prominently display the ratings in advertising your members may procure and promotional materials that you put out.
Absolutely. Senator Lieberman, you've made some very, very cogent points here. And what I want to emphasize today is the sincerity of the industry. They have heard what you and Senator Cole have had to say, and they are sincerely interested in the well-being of children. And any system, rating system that does get adopted will be consistent and will be understandable and will be labeled in a similar manner and will be enforceable. That's a commitment that we can make to you.